So Todd Phillips' Joker sequel has just been released in theatres, and it's quite the unusual sequel to 2019's hit film Joker. The main idea of this film and certain sequences within it do work for me at times, but there's also a lot of other stuff in there that I just think was mishandled. I will be posting my full review on the film in the coming days, but in this explained analysis, I'm going to be giving you my breakdown of it, discussing full plot details, the ending, and the central meaning of Todd Phillips' latest movie. There will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched the film yet, then I would recommend checking it out before watching my analysis. Before I get into it though, if you want to see more videos on Joker 2 and DC, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into my explained video for Joker Folie A Deux. So Joker 2 is very different from your typical sequel, aligning in that sense with Todd Phillips' original Joker film as a unique take on a comic book character. Featuring Joaquin Phoenix in the role of Arthur Fleck and helmed by Phillips, both films take cues from DC Comics characters while steering clear of a traditional portrayal of the Joker's backstory. Their goal is to use the fictional setting of Gotham to mirror the complexities of our own reality. The sequel presents itself not only as a jukebox musical, but also as a poignant love story between the Joker and Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn. On top of this, the film's ending is tragic, defying the expectations of many fans of the Joker character. In essence, Joker 2 serves as a critique of its predecessor, as while the first film focused on a deep character study, this installment leans more towards a character interrogation. And that to a degree makes sense given what happened at the end of the previous film. Arthur Fleck, clad in a flashy red suit and clown makeup as the Joker, infamously killed comedian and talk show host Murray Franklin, portrayed by Robert De Niro, during a live TV broadcast. He also admitted to the murders of 3 men in a subway. And then as he was being transported to prison, his devoted followers launched an attack on the police vehicle and Arthur was left behind bars. This brings us to the start of Joker Folie A Deux, where we get quite the unique opening. In a vibrant homage to the classic Warner Bros. Cartoon Looney Tunes, the film's opening sequence titled Me and My Shadow recaps the events of the first Joker, but it's slightly different. Now, a star as the Joker, Arthur grapples with the challenges posed by his shadow self, who revels in chaos, steals the spotlight, and shifts the blame onto Arthur. This animated segment encapsulates the film's essence, showcasing the ongoing battle between Arthur and his counterpart, serving as the heart of the new film's narrative. It's a clever opening, and to be honest, I think it did a better job of communicating that idea more than other parts of the film do beyond it. But moving on, once this animated intro ends, we come back to Arthur, who remains in Arkham State Hospital. He resides in a section designated for the criminally insane, having taken the lives of several individuals and showing signs of mental illness. The guards, under the leadership of Brendan Gleeson's Jackie Sullivan, subject him to relentless bullying, and he endures their mistreatment in silence. And his lawyer, Catherine Keener's Mary Ann Stewart, gets him ready for his upcoming trial. She intends to use traditional insanity defense, arguing that he was not mentally stable at the time of those murders. Arthur, though, appears indifferent to his circumstances, accepting whatever fate awaits him. This is until he notices a woman in the section of Arkham designated for the more refined inmates. This woman is Harley Quinn or Lee, and they quickly connect, finding common ground in their shared madness. Lee and Arthur cross paths in a musical therapy session where she candidly shares her obsession with the Joker, admitting she's seen the TV movie about his infamous rampage many times. Later on though, she reveals that she lied, only watching the film a handful of times, giving you the idea that she's more interested in Joker, trying to provoke Arthur to embrace that side as well. But at the time, her enthusiasm is enough to pull him from the silence of his 2-year prison stay, reigniting his Joker persona. Having always yearned for love and acceptance, he feels rejuvenated, so much so that he begins to imagine himself singing and dancing, leading to the vibrant musical sequences of the film. Harley also confides in him about her past, saying that she killed her father and was subsequently placed in an institution by her mother. Of course, this turns out to be another thing that isn't entirely true. So through all these events, Arthur begins to suspect that Lee's support may not be as genuine as she claims, creating a sense of inner turmoil about whether to reconnect with his Joker and comedic ruse. This uncertainty is heightened by his lawyer, who warns him that straying from their current strategy of pleading insanity could result in a life sentence behind bars. As we learn though, over time they do fall in love. As mentioned before, Harley's fascination lies exclusively with the Joker identity, showing no interest in Arthur himself. And this is further evident when she visits him in his cell one night, only leaning in for a kiss after she has put him back in the iconic makeup. And from here, this is where we come to the trial of Arthur Fleck. At the outset, Arthur is defended by his lawyer Stuart, who aims to establish that he suffers from dissociative identity disorder. Opposing him is Harry Laughtie's Harvey Dent, an assistant district attorney better known by many DC fans as Two-Face. In this film, Dent is determined to ensure that Arthur faces the death penalty. So Stuart advises Arthur to keep his darker side in check. But as we know, Harley is drawn exclusively to the Joker, and it won't be long before she helps him to bring that persona back out. When she does, we start to get even more elaborate song and dance performances, all of which seem to exist solely in Arthur's imagination. Just like in the first film, the Joker identity is a figment of his fantasy. As a social misfit, he was ignored and undervalued, and it wasn't until he resorted to a series of violent acts that he finally captured everyone's interest. It was only after he embraced the Joker persona that the world began to pay attention. So the musical sequences aim to elaborate on his thoughts when it comes to those particular moments in the film. Personally, I didn't like a lot of these scenes, but there was one great musical sequence in the middle of the film, set in the courtroom his trial takes place in, to the song The Joker by Lady Gaga. It was a turning point in the movie, and the way the sequence was put together made it stand out way beyond a lot of the others. So I do think the musical scenes could have been a lot more effective overall and executed in less of a one-note fashion. There was potential there to really get deeper into his ever-changing mindset, and instead, a simple thought just became an extended musical number. For me, it was the scenes around these numbers that I actually thought were more impactful. And speaking of a good example of that, I think the one that stands out to me was the one where Arthur is interviewed by Steve Coogan's reporter Paddy Myers. Paddy draws a parallel to the emotions we experienced while watching Murray Franklin in the first movie, a character who, much like Harvey and Gotham's elite, thrives on sensationalism. In the midst of this, the most striking element is Arthur's regression to his despondent, gloomy self, as he lacks the confidence that once characterized his dance among the violent rioters who would come to see him as a messianic figure. However, on the flip side to this, Arthur also feels personal joy knowing that he holds significance for others beyond his immediate surroundings. He no longer sees himself as just an invisible figure. Among his fellow inmates, he has gained a certain level of respect, particularly from a young man named Ricky, who was taken to following him closely. So there comes a point where Arthur puts the Joker makeup back on, even if it's for a brief amount of time. Back in the trial, Arthur finds himself facing the stake as Harvey presents witnesses one after another. Among them are Zazie Beetz' character Sophie Dumond and his social worker Sharon Washington. Each of them, in their own way, provides Harvey with the testimony he seeks. So when Arthur embraces the Joker persona again, he decides to get rid of Stuart and becomes his own lawyer, going up against Dent in his own twisted way with numerous accents. Arthur has the opportunity to cross-examine Harvey's witnesses, and his final witness is quite the surprise. He finds himself confronting one of the few individuals he once considered a true friend in Gary Puddles. In the first Joker, Gary watched in horror as Arthur brutally killed their colleague Randall, who had taunted Arthur one too many times. While Arthur never physically harmed Gary and holds no resentment towards him, the incident left Gary deeply traumatized and mentally scarred. At first, Arthur approaches the cross-examination with a sense of humour, even mimicking a southern lawyer. However, it becomes evident that Gary's trauma weighs heavily on Arthur, leading him to realise that Gary appreciated him for who he was before Joker. In my opinion, this was one of the more impactful moments in the film and this trial as a whole. But during the ending moments of Arthur's trial, we learn that he had made some offhand comments about the abusive behaviour of the guards at Arkham. This remark does not sit well with the guards, leading Jackie Sullivan and his colleagues to drag Arthur to the bathroom. The guards brutally assault Arthur, leaving him barely clinging to life, and they kill Ricky, who disrupts them by singing. When Sullivan commands them to strip Arthur of his trousers, it strongly suggests that the guards sexually violated him, and this aligns with the earlier instances of abuse inflicted upon Arthur, including a scene where the guards manipulate another patient to kiss him. Additionally, the film reveals that Arthur's mother also subjected him to sexual abuse, making this harrowing encounter with the guards feel like the ultimate breaking point for him. And this brings us to the ending segment of the film. The following day in court, Arthur is now completely different. The lively clown who once entertained is replaced by a shattered individual who insists that the Joker isn't just a persona but his true identity. This revelation deeply wounds Harley, and supporters of the Joker appear disappointed. Despite Arthur's justifications, the grand jury finds him guilty on 5 counts of murder, and overwhelmed by his emotions, Arthur erupts into uncontrollable laughter, provoking a bystander and the courtroom to go into chaos. The situation escalates, and a few moments after this, a car bomb detonates, blowing out a side wall of the building. The blast sends shockwaves, leaving Arthur among the many disoriented by the chaos. Spotting a way out through the massive gap in the wall, he hurries past Harvey Dent, whose face is now reminiscent of his infamous Two-Face persona from the comics. And just as Arthur thinks he's found a way to safety, he's intercepted by 2 supporters of the Joker who boast about their role in the bombing. He eventually manages to escape the back of their car and runs away to try and find Harley. Harley said earlier on that she would move into Arthur's former apartment building, and this becomes a reality when he finds her near those iconic stairs. Yet everything has changed, and it's not just Harley's fresh look and haircut that signals this. The instant Arthur declared that Joker was merely a figment of imagination was the turning point for Harley, and it marked the end of her love for him, even though she was supposedly expecting his child. She leaves Arthur behind on the very stairs he had danced down 2 years prior, just as the GCPD shows up to escort him back to Arkham. And just when we believed that the film had reached its conclusion, it delivers an unexpected twist at the very end. It appears that Joker 2 marks the last appearance of Joaquin Phoenix as the iconic character, as he meets his demise in the final scene. This moment involves an inmate we caught brief glimpses of earlier in the film. He stood out from the others and clearly had a fascination with Arthur Fleck, or perhaps more accurately, with the Joker himself. A guard approaches Arthur, announcing that he has a visitor. Now at first, we think this could be Harley, Gary, or someone that Arthur knows, but we learn that he will never find that out because he confronts a brutal fate at the hands of a certain inmate. The inmate who stops him claims he has a joke to share, assuring Arthur that it will be brief. But when the moment for the punchline arrives, he echoes Arthur's last words to Murray, saying, "You get what you effing deserve," before stabbing him multiple times. As Arthur collapses lifelessly onto the floor, the inmate in the background begins to carve a grin into his own face, laughing in the background while he does so. Now, some people think that this ending is referencing Heath Ledger's Joker from the Dark Knight trilogy, and that it's a nod to that in some fashion. But to be honest, I think it's signifying the idea of Joker as a whole. Joker represents more than just one person, he embodies a symbol. This inmate at the end just suggests that Gotham will perpetually have a Joker as long as there are individuals who feel disenchanted with their surroundings and choose to embrace chaos. The suggestion here is that the Joker meant to clash with Batman isn't Arthur Fleck. Arthur was simply the muse for the clown prince of crime, with the essence of the Joker continuing to exist beyond his character. Arthur was a troubled man who became fed up with the love his persona got from those in the city, rejecting that there was a man named Arthur Fleck who struggled beneath it. And whether this Joker at the end is someone who is struggling beneath too is left up for us to interpret. He could be someone who loves the chaos, or he could be just another broken soul like Arthur who uses that Joker persona. But that was my breakdown and analysis for Joker 2. Again, I will be posting my review on the film in the next day or so, and like many others who've seen it, I've got a lot of thoughts on the approach that was taken. But I do hope this breakdown did help some of you guys understand the film and the main details a bit better, and overall, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it, so don't forget to let me know down below in the comment section. For more videos surrounding Todd Phillips Joker 2, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.